Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Carrie Justick, and today I'll be sitting down with a Hollywood icon who really needs no introduction. She's been in front of the camera since she was a child, starring in famous campaigns and award-winning movies. Now, at 54 years old, and amidst her never-ending career, she's feeling more confident than ever. Let's take a look why. Brooke Shields, everybody.
Very excited to be here. Thank you.
I really don't know how to begin a conversation with Brooke Shields, but I guess we'll just start with the obvious, why you're here. I mean, like I said,
I'm very scary and I'm very intimidating and mean.
I mean, you're Brooke
really
Shields
mean.
and there's just lots to talk about. And so why you're here, I mean, like I said, you're 54. You, A, look amazing, and B, I know you've said you're feeling more confident than ever. So can you please share your secrets?
So, it's funny. As I've gotten older, I'm more interested in feeling better than just looking better. And that first shift for me was the first step towards getting more of a confidence just in my own skin and my own body. I work out a lot. I eat well. I think my biggest problem is tequila. I mean,
Isn't it everybody's?
It's not one of the food groups, right? Or I don't know. I thought it was, but anyway, it's a breakfast food, right? No, I think like that would be that's probably the thing that I definitely curb when I know I need to lose weight. But it's more about feeling confident and strong and sexy in this age. And I work out hard, but I have trouble areas. There's little trouble spots. Like I have had 2 children, and it's fun. I never had like love handles before.
Well
and it's such a really crazy name for them. But those are little areas that stopped me from wanting to wear a bikini and there's this pressure of feeling, oh my God, I don't look the way I did when I was 16, and realizing that that's not necessarily what I want. I want to look my strongest and best at this age. But to address those areas, I fell in love with WarmSculpting. It really, I was a bit skeptical at first, but I had the treatment a few times and have been really happy with the results. And as a result, even my kids saw it. This summer I wore a bikini more often, and
woo!
Yeah, and so it's those kinds of little things, and it's the message that the company, that SculpSure, which is the company, what they really said to me in the beginning was, it's not about a weight loss program, but it's about adding to a person, men and women do it, a confidence that they can feel really from the inside out. And when you feel good about yourself, you look good, but it's the whole package has to be intact, and I think that's changed for me. And being 54, you're doing it for different reasons. Now it's really all for me, and it's not just because I feel like I have to live up to something, because I had to admit that I'm 54, which is hard to do. No, I really do. I love it. I love my age now. I love the way I look at the world. And I'm prouder, and I'm so thankful that I found something that I believe in, that's non-invasive, that there's no downtime. To me, it was a no-brainer, but I wasn't sure that I was going to see the results, and I did.
I mean, 100%. You're talking about like rocking your bikini and all of that and doing it for yourself, which I love. And I mean, I feel like everybody kind of dies for these bikini photos and all of these beautiful images you put on your Instagram. And I feel like as a woman over 50, we're seeing a lot more women do this and share these images of themselves. And I'm wondering about what the response has been for you. Is it overwhelming? Is it weird that people are like, oh, look at that women over 50 are still hot? Like, is this a new thing?
Well, you kind of want to go, look, I'm not dead. Like, what, you know, I've been trying being good to myself, you know. It's funny, those pictures always get a gazillion likes, so what you call them? No, those little hearts. And it was my daughters that actually told me to do it, because I felt very embarrassed. I felt like it was ego, and I felt like I don't want to show you what I eat, and I don't want to show you every part of my day and in my body. It's weird. And my girls were like, Mom, this is current. This is what the world is now. And you should be proud because you do work hard. Mm-hmm. And my older daughter, like, my girls have such confidence in the way they look, and I didn't have that growing up. So I'm watching it through them. And they always take the pictures. I always say, okay, if you take the picture, then I'll know that it feels, because they're all personal pictures. And it, you know, I've talked to them about WarmSculpting, and I've talked to them about sort of taking advantage of things that are around you in your world, but not in lieu of working out hard, getting sleep, drinking a lot of water, you know, and just being able to take care of yourself. Because, you know, these kids, they play sports, so it sort of happens for them. They're 13 and 16, but to see their mother be this age, continuing to work hard in my career, but also on myself.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought them up, because, I mean, even just you talking about them being your little Instagram gurus, I love that. I mean, what other reason do you need daughters other than to take your bikini photos?
There's no other reason. Not a 13-year-old. No reason anybody should live with a 13-year-old. It should be outlawed. You should send them away somewhere and then get them back, I don't know when, like in 19.
Yeah. You're like, well, let me wait on that, and then I'll let you know when they can come back. But I mean, just you talking about the confidence that you see in them. I mean, obviously, your upbringing from theirs is very different, because I know that they haven't been so into the modeling thing. When you're talking about even WarmSculpting and things like this, like, how do you respond to people who might say, like, oh, you're kind of promoting this procedure? How do you, at the same time, instill body confidence and positivity in your daughters?
Well, you know, I talk about age, and I talk about the fact that there are challenges that are different after you've had children. You know, your body really never is the same again. So I shame them and say that they ruined my life. Is that wrong? It's just a little technique we have at home. No, and I say to them, you know, this is something that is in addition to. This is an extra resource. You know, it's why I go to the gym. It's why I have time with my friends. It's why I go to therapy. It's like, you know, all these things that if you're lucky enough that you can fit them into your life, this is just one more thing. And I tell them that they don't need this because they're 13 and 16, you know? But as a 54-year-old woman, I want to continue to feel my best. You know, it's not about necessarily looking your best, but come on. I mean, it has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, beauty's on the inside and all that, and that's all very true, and that's what I professed to them their whole lives. But I also say, you know, but it's good to take care of yourself. And part of that is, you know, doing the right things to and for yourself. And if it's a resource and it makes you feel good, I mean, I think seeing the results, I mean, that I think is the most encouraging part of something like this. You know, there's nothing, I don't think there should be any shame in taking advantage of what's available. Mm-hmm. And especially a non-invasive procedure. Yeah. You know, that there's no downtime or downside to it. Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk a little bit about what you were saying before, how looking and feeling good has changed as you've gotten older. I mean, obviously, I think everybody here would agree that you looked amazing when your whole life and when you were younger, everything. And so, but you said that you didn't feel as confident. Can you tell me a little bit about what your relationship with your body and body image was growing up and how it's evolved?
I've ever since I was quite young, I had a very strong disconnect to my body. I was the face on the covers. I was, the eyebrows or the face or whatever the thing was that people and the press and everybody focused on. And because I was never really skinny, I never did runway. So I was always the one that was doing the magazines, but often never fit into the samples. And so sort of grew up with this belief that I didn't look good, that I didn't have a good body. So focus on the face. And even just sort of sexuality-wise was detached sexually in my brain from all of that, And then, of course, it was said I was the most famous virgin, which is really great to live with. Yeah, oh God. But it's happened. But so there's that. But there was a whole piece of me and my life that I just put blinders on. And dance class, I would fall because I wouldn't even look in the mirror, and I would not be able to spot because it felt. There was this fear of ego and fear of being that person and fear of self-indulgence and all of this, I don't know, however, Catholic upbringing, Catholic guilt, but there was a lot of fear associated with it. And so my response was just concentrate from the neck up, keep your brain, I went to college, it was all about that. And now I'm actually celebrating it more. Because I look at this body that I've lived in for a long time and appreciate it because it served me through, it's just my 25th sort of anniversary of the first time I was on Broadway. I mean, my body has danced on Broadway in 6 shows and, really feel the wear and tear of it, but it's been there for me. So I think as I've gotten older and I've felt closer to my own sexuality as well. And that was through children to a certain extent, and just being able to sort of celebrate myself and start looking at myself, actually looking, and I think that that's what's changed. And now I'm inspired by it and want to keep going, want to be better because I feel like I've connected 2 parts of me.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And when you bring up your daughters and like the impact of having children and all of this, of course, is it like easier to kind of reflect on your career and the way that you kind of, like you said, you were very detached from your body? Like now looking at your daughters, I'm sure you don't want them to grow up feeling that way. You want them to embrace their body as often as they can. So
I want them to embrace how different we all are, and how different my 2 daughters are and how we're different body types and people and celebrate that. I mean, I think social media can, with the obsession of that and with the portrayal of that, there's a lot of other dangers that I have to really keep them more tethered, but I think that I don't want them to have that. I don't want them to have any of that shame, but I want them to maintain a sense of that their body is their body. Yeah. It's their own. There's no, they say things and it's, it's scary what they think is okay or what they think they should be putting out there or what's getting likes and it's those are 2 very different conversations. But I also have to say to them, you don't want to be that girl either. You're not going to ever live it down. And so just keep it together, your legs, and just kind of pace yourself, and I think that, I would love it if my girls had a really beautiful first experience, you know, but you hear them talking and they're talking about, you know, joining it on the list or getting it over with.
Oh,
or
Lord.
No, it's really terrifying. And so this is a balance between this sort of exhibitionism that will do 24/7 and the this and all of it, you know, and you're like, okay, I think that's healthy to a certain extent, but you're gonna have to be careful and you're still young. So it's really, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I mean, I'm trying. I'm really trying, but so it's, you know, but again, it's like seeing their mother work is important. Seeing their mother say, yeah, I'm proud. I work out, but I also have found SculpSure. I do this. And I think that it's just, I'm trying to present to them the image of a whole woman, which was very different from the way I grew up.
Definitely. I mean, even when you're talking about all the, like how you were sexualized as a kid, like the most famous virgin, like now as a mother, I'm sure that gives you like chills. You know what I mean? Like,
I wish both of my daughters had that reputation. Let me tell you, it'd make things a lot easier.
But even like, I mean, the famous Calvin Klein ad, you know, like everybody, as a parent, I'm sure it's so interesting to look back at those things and think like I was a teenager and people had this view of me and it was something that you might not have necessarily even had control of because it's the way that you're portrayed through like these campaigns and whatnot.
Well, and it was also very confusing for the public and for people because, you know, you start off with a movie like Pretty Baby but, you know, in Blue Lagoon, right? But I had body doubles, but public doesn't know that or didn't know that. And so there was this Lolita and there was this young, you know, the smoldering eyes and whatever, but I was still just a little kid. And then this other message was put out there. And it was this, what's the paradox? How do you justify, you know, sexy screen siren and, you know, famous virgin? Like it's a real disconnect and it's really hard. And so I look back and I think I'm still surviving and I can't believe that I didn't turn into a train wreck. I mean, so like seriously, and also to, and you know, you look back at the stuff I did and it's tame. It's tame for, you know, I mean, I was working since I was 11 months old, so it was always about hard work for me. But it took on a life of its own and I became this sensation and it was kind of confusing, you know, so I just sort of put blinders on. And I'm also telling my daughters, you know, that it's hard to live with all of that.
I mean, I know we touched on it for a second before. Your daughters haven't really expressed any interest in modeling or acting.
That, you know, they do all the school plays and the school musicals. One is very, very vocal. I mean, really songwrites and sings. Actually, they both do. So it's an outlet for them and they're enjoying it in school. Modeling-wise, my younger daughter, as sort of a favor to a friend, I let them take her picture. And I trusted the team. And all the while, she thought she wanted to do this. And my plan worked because I was never going to let her do it. I can't find the why. And, you know, people say, what if she really wants to? I'm like, after college, I will help her do what she needs, you know, but she's going to finish her education and then we'll talk. But the whole day she was complaining to me. And this dress hurts, can I be done? I'm hot, you know, and every time she said, well, can I leave? I said, no, you can't leave. You don't leave until they say you can leave. You don't leave until the photographer says so. I'm sorry,
this is work.
Dress hurts? Well, they want you to be in that dress. So it's just, so I watched her just go like, oh, the problem is they want the same fame just by doing a video where they're mouthing words to other songs. And so, you know what I'm saying? And that sort of speedy fame and, you know, millions of likes is sort of taking the place of that. And the work ethic has been practically just erased. I mean, it's really interesting. So I grew up with an incredibly strong work ethic, and it came from my mom. It came from just starting so young and wanting to be liked. You know, that's sort of the genesis of it, to be honest. And then that became rewarding. And then I became the one everybody wanted to work with because I was nice and well behaved. And, you know, and that had its toll later. But it was, the work ethic to me is something that's really hard to instill, especially in our young people.
Yeah. I mean, social media obviously plays a huge role in so many careers now. I mean, especially with modeling, we see it like people take off. Like you said, they get 1 million likes and suddenly they're signing a contract or they're walking a runway. But you also have quite the social media presence. And I was wondering, I mean, obviously you didn't grow up using that, but how have you kind of learn to use it, or how have you used it in your career?
There's a lot of this.
Yeah.
Honey, can you, what? It's not working. It's not, stop touching all the buttons at once. It's not going to do that. I'm like, no, it's not, mine's not, I can't see anything.
So again, your daughters are running your Instagram.
Like. Oh, honestly, they have to, well, I can't let them approve of everything because they also, you know, I don't know. They're young, but they
different tastes.
Yeah, different tastes. But and they'll say, you know, I'll post something that's personal and kind of dorky, and people love that stuff, you know. And it's an inside look that nobody else has. And my daughters they hang their head in shame because I don't look completely like I'm ready for the runway every day, even when I drop them off at school. They're like, Mom, can you just do a little something? I'm like, no, I'm not working. Stop. And I'm an icon, damn it. Yeah. Doesn't work in my house. But they definitely, I have had to learn, you know, I mean, I've had to learn all of that. And I also had to hire a consultant to help me understand, because I would post, 12 things in 1 hour and then not for 4 days. You know, because I'd forget or think something wasn't that interesting or whatever. And now I'm sort of getting more educated in not having it run my life, but having it be for my career an asset.
Yeah. We need a class. Brooke Shields teaches you how to use Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, one person will be in the class.
I'll show up. Don't worry. I don't know if I'll take all the advice, but I'll be there. So we're going to hand it over to audience Q&A. I think we have 2 questions. The first, do you want to go ahead?
Okay. Hi, I'm Gloria Jules.
Hi, Gloria.
You do look fabulous.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. My question was, have you done voice acting in the past?
I've done children's animation for some shows and done some comedy, mostly comedy things and comedy voices. But with regards to advertising, whenever I go in for an audition for a new product, I never get it.
Wow.
It's just odd. I don't know why, but I'll sort of go in there and really talk.
Yeah, you got it
Very
down.
well, and it's just, or I'll just, sometimes use my younger squeaky voice, but no, just kid stuff. Yeah,
that's good.
And Adult
Cartoons.
Swim, I did this cartoon, which I thought was just going to be really a cartoon, and I brought my girls in to listen to it and watch it. I'm like, oh, come on, your mom's doing Mr. Pickles. It's a dog, and I within 30 seconds, I was like, oh God, I had never seen the animation. I was like, you can't watch this. So there's the indie crowd thinks that's cool, but I can't show it my kids. And then I do really sweet, Nickelodeon stuff. So I just try to balance it.
Thank you.
And then we have one more question.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, what's something that you tell yourself or tell your daughters to maintain your positivity and your drive?
I kind of try to set them up for the truth, which is life is hard. We all have stuff, and these young girls, it's the end of the world, you know, and I try to give them perspective, but I say, you know, it's not really what is happening to you, it's how you respond. You know, do you just lie down and let it just obliterate you, or do you fight through it, keep going, stay present, keep things simple, and remember you're kind, you know, though it's because they've seen me really dark, and they've seen me, you know, and they've watched their mother say, okay, this was really a blow, emotionally, mentally, and I'll go dark for a while and then just power through it because no one else is going to power through it for them. And that's, I'm trying to instill that in them, to have the fight in them, and also not take everything like it's the end of the world. And I think it's really hard, again, with social media, because they, you know, everything's devastating to them. Everybody else in the world has a better life than they do. And I'll say, well, how do you know that? And they'll say, well, it's here. I'm like, oh, okay, because you see it. So it's trying to keep perspective, but mostly, my mom used to say, you know, she used to just say, never let them see you sweat. You know, just assume your strongest self, and you'd be surprised how much more capable you are. You know, if you kind of even trick yourself, you probably go, hey, I didn't know I could do that, but I fake it till I make it. And then you'd be surprised how empowering that is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I have one more question because I can't not ask. There have been a million reboots happening on TV. What are the chances Suddenly Susan would maybe ever come back into our lives?
You know, if I sadly would say I would do it yesterday. It's the best job of my entire life. It was the most fun and the most amazing 4 years of my existence creatively. I don't think they would ever, because what happened with us is they sold us into syndication, but canceled us at 99. So you really it only all kicked in 100 episodes, but they purposely stopped us at 99, which was a really cruel thing for them to do. And as a result, didn't go into that syndication deal where it's constantly a part of everybody's psyche, you know. And I mean, the whole Friends thing is fascinating because it's everybody's obsessed with it because now they can see it everywhere. But it was because of Friends that I got my own show. Just one episode of Friends, and I got Suddenly Susan. So I loved it. You know what? I'd love them to bring Lipstick Jungle back. That's what I would.
Oh, yes.
But I don't know, you know, I don't know if it was a very loved show. I don't know if they considered Suddenly Susan a huge hit. You know, I didn't really pay attention to numbers or anything like that then. And I just think it was healthier, but I would do it yesterday, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Lipstick Jungle probably has a better shot, but
we'll take you where we can get you. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.